Welcome to Convicted Hearts. I am your host, Jen. I'm back with the lovely Naomi, but we also have a very special guest here. Tonight, we have on the phone Mr. Greyhound himself to answer some questions and tell us a little bit about his life, his history, um, with what he's been through facing his sentence. And if I understand correctly, Naomi or Greyhound, one, can you guys correct me? It's a life sentence or natural life sentence? What is the difference?
I don't know. I really don't know what the difference is. It's basically the same thing, except one's called
Yeah,
life without parole, the other one's natural life. The sentence doesn't really change.
yeah.
It makes
I've
no
heard it
sense.
said, right, right. I've heard it said both ways. So I was thinking, I got to ask that first of all, what's the difference? But okay, so a life sentence. I was hoping that we could take it back and maybe start out with, some of your early years pre-prison, pre this sentence that you're in right now, and tell me a bit about yourself.
Okay. I got sent. I came to prison when I was 16 years old the first time, and when I came to prison is when I got I got caught up in prison gangs and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
uh, it was down that track right there. So it was all within that lifestyle that led me to this case in itself. So it involves that whole lifestyle right there. So it
Mhm.
wasn't like it was a fluke. It was decisions in my life that I made while in prison that led to getting involved further. That caused that uh,
Mhm.
make this be an issue that was a case now that I'm serving life for.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's a very young age. Would you say 16, 17?
Yeah, I was transferred as an adult when I was 16 years old.
The reporter staff reaching out to me and stuff, that's what they were reaching out
Mhm.
about, the juveniles being sent. I guess that's a thing there. But
Mhm.
he was sent to prison with, the worst of the worst at the age of 16 for a minor crime that he shouldn't have went to an adult prison for at a juvenile age.
Okay. What was this original case? What state was this in?
You charged out of.
Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not still serving the same sentence for that, but
Mhm.
um, I don't know if it was too harsh back then. I was a kid back then, so they, I didn't have like adult representation when I took a plea bargain, so I just did what the lawyers told me to do. That I thought
Yeah.
was the best thing for me as a kid. So um, I don't believe I should have been transferred as an adult. It was a
Mhm.
nonviolent crime. They were stealing cars. So I don't believe I
Okay.
should have been in the adult system for that.
Yeah. Then that was my next question. If you don't mind me asking, what were the charges that they sentenced you on?
Yeah. So when I first got arrested, that's exactly what it was. It was a Grand Theft Auto. That's all it was a stolen car. No other charges
Mhm.
to it. Just a Grand Theft Auto. No high speed chase. Nobody was hurt. No weapons. Nothing involved in it other than was in a car, got pulled over, got arrested, and they sent me
Mhm.
to the adult system for it.
Wow. Now you mentioned you
But
didn't have any adult representation with you. Do you mean there were no parents or guardians present when you took the plea?
no, I didn't have nobody. It was just me on my own, and the public pretender that they gave me. So I was left to
Mhm.
leave it in somebody else's hands to fight for me and say what was right and um,
Mhm.
all that for me. So yeah, I didn't have nobody else to tell me, hey, don't do that, this ain't right, or we should fight this, or nothing like that. So I was just on my own. So I thought, hey, it was a good deal, and took it.
Yeah. I bet it would be very, I mean, to me, I have kids that age and even older right now. That would be a very intimidating situation. And you would assume that, somebody representing you is telling you the right thing. But that's unfortunately not always the case. A lot of us have come to learn.
Yeah, there was a lot of us at that time. We were infatuated with the lifestyle of all that. So the injustices that we were receiving, we were oblivious to them because we weren't looking at what was in front of us. We were looking at everything around us and lost in that. You know what I mean? When the system was using us and abusing us and doing things that they shouldn't have. It wasn't until I went to prison and I got around the adults, the convicts that know the system, that know, what's right and wrong within the court system and stuff like that. When I started to learn that, they're just doing us any old way, even the way we were housed and just the whole setup of it that we were going through in the beginning. It was wrong, but as kids, we're not taught that. We weren't taught that, so we don't know any better. One, we don't know the law. Two, they're not teaching us. They're not giving us anything and telling us anything. And if we have families, I'm just saying what I've seen other guys going through. The families only know what the kid is telling them, and unless the family's more proactive and involved in their stuff, maybe they can find out what's going on and look into it and try to fight it or whatever. But a lot of guys, everybody's just kind of a fish out of water when they're dealing with that, especially for all you guys that are young at that time going through that system.
Right. Yeah. That sounds like a very similar thing that I've heard before. Can you tell me a little bit what it was like once you landed, into your first adult prison, and what prison was that?
You asked what was my first adult prison that I went to?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I went. It was at Tucson. It was in the Tucson complex. I went to the Rincon prison. It's Rincon is a level 3 and a level 4, so it's a medium and a close custody unit, a high medium prison. And at that time, they had a unit for the juveniles. So if we were under 18, we lived together amongst ourselves, but we were able to go to work and go to the kitchen with the adults. So we intermingled with them to a degree, but not wholly until we were 18. When we turned 18, immediately at midnight, they would move us out of the unit and go put us in an adult unit where we lived with everybody that was 18 and older. So where I lived at was initially it was just all the guys that were under the age of 18 at that time. But we were in an adult prison. There was nothing that separated us from other than just living in that building. When we went to work or we went to the kitchen and stuff, it was with the adults. But outside of that, to the rec and stuff, we went by ourselves. We had our own jobs separate from that. We did certain things with them. We had visits and stuff with them. Later on, they changed it to where they completely separated them, but there was a time where we intermingled with the adults.
Okay. Did you have any idea, because you had a little bit of intermingling, what you were going to face once you turned 18, or did anybody in that prison warn you or, give you a heads up, the difference that it was going to be?
Yeah, so, we've had people that been in prison, I had family that's been in prison, my father was in prison most of my life. my aunts, uncles, friends, their families in there. So we knew something, we knew a little bit about prison in general. But when I got to the adult system in the county jail, we were learning through when we went to court or when we ran into people at medical or through the vents. So we used to talk in the vents, and they used to give us little rules of how we needed to conduct ourselves and certain things that do's and don'ts for us if we're coming to prison, so that we're not in trouble when we got to prison. And then when we got to the actual prison and we got to mingle with some of the guys, they made us know some of the rules that we're going to be dealing with, and to let the guys know in our unit that if we have like this kind of case or this, and this, that, we better tell the police that we want to go to PC or something, because we'll get killed if we come over with this, and this in our background. You know what I mean? So like we were given a little inkling of what it was, but you don't really realize it or get a full grasp of it until you're actually in it.
Right. I can only imagine. That's a real, touchy word and subject here in California too, as you hear a lot about the, PC yard and I'm sure there's a lot of detail that goes into that, a lot of men have to deal with. They're integrating a lot of yards here, or most of them now have already been done. But that's interesting that even as far back as, you being 18, you were hearing that kind of talk there in Arizona too. What can you tell me about when you turned 18, and do you remember the actual day that you hit the adult yard?
Yes. My phone.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Let me read down this because the phones are open, so I'll read down and I'll answer your question.
Okay. Got it.
Ready?
Yeah, the day you turned 18, can you remember specifically, landing into the adult yard, adult prison, and what is some things you can share about that?
All right. I don't know the exact date other than my birthday, but it was at midnight, and it was me and another guy that I was in the juvenile section with. He was a black dude, and we both were moved to the same unit. We went to, it was in the same prison system. We just went to another unit, and it was at nighttime, so we moved over there, and he went to the cell he went to, and I went to the cell I did, and my cellie immediately asked, and he's like, are you Mexican? I'm like, yeah. So then I had to pull out my paperwork, prove my charges real quick before I could even unpack. So I had to show what my charges were there, because you just can't live with certain people. So I passed the test, and I was gonna, I guess, talk to people the next day. You know what I mean? So I don't know how I felt. I want to say I was really anxious. You know what I mean? It's a new system. I wasn't scared with the individuals that I live with or anything per se or nothing. It was just, it was just a surreal experience to finally be on that side. And it was late at night, so I kind of stood up, just waiting to see what's happening next, because I was supposed to meet everybody, and then people want to talk to me, so I had to wait for that. So then, as the morning started, when I came out for breakfast, and I started to meet people and introduce myself, where I came from, and what I'm in prison for, and stuff like that. And then I got the rules. So like, where I come from, it's it's segregated by race. So we got racial rules, we got political rules. There's just a lot of different things going on. You know what I mean? So I had to learn the do's and don'ts in our joint. Where to go, where we can't go, who we talk to, who we can't talk to, who we can shake hands with, who we can't shake hands with, that type of thing. You know what I mean? And so that you got to learn those type of things like really, really fast. That's like key and paramount. But you immediately learn the 5 deadly sins in prison is 1, no snitching, no child molestation, no rape, no being a punk, and no being a race traitor. Those are the 5 deadly sins you can get killed for. And so I'm just telling you what they're called, but there's a definition for each one, what each one means. Like it's broken down, you know what I mean? Like rape consists of this, and this, and you know what I mean? This means this, and this, and so it's more defined than just what I just labeled out.
Right. I'm assuming that part of, when somebody arrives, checking the paperwork is to make sure you have none of those bad charges. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. To make sure that you're in line and you don't violate the 5 days in advance.
Okay. When you were housed, what is it like, or what was it like? Did you have like one cellie? Were you in a gym? What was it like when you landed there in the beginning?
Oh, so this joint that I was at, it was a T-style prison. So a T-style, you had it's called a bubble, or the guard shack where the officers at, their offices, and you gotta run. So you got A, B, C. You know what I mean? So you got like a hallway that goes one way, and you got cells on one side, cells on the other, and then behind it there's another hallway down the ways with cells going down, and then on another way. So it's like in a T shape, or they're called X buildings, but it's more of a T. You know what I mean? So Arizona at that time, until 2018, but at that time Arizona has a race-based policy to segregate by race. So we only house with Mexicans with Mexicans, whites with whites, blacks with blacks, natives and Mexicans get housed together as well. You got others, but it was rare back then for the others. If they existed like that, it depended who they fell underneath. You know what I mean? But you only house with your own. That prison at that time, you had keys. It was a level 3 and part level 4, but they had keys where you can open your own door, go in. This double bunk, had wooden shelves, toilet in the front, a window in the back. The showers, they were multiple showers. You know what I mean? Several people in there at one time, but we have Mexican showers, white showers, black showers, stuff like that, where we shower together. How we shower with times.
Right. Did I hear you say you guys had keys to your own cells?
Keys?
I didn't know if I heard that right. Did it say there was keys to your own cell?
Yeah, keys. Even where I'm at right now, it's funny you're asking me that because somebody's asking me for my keys, so you go in my cell real quick here, bro.
Really? What a trip.
Yeah,
I never heard that.
So we got keys. So like where I'm at right now, I'm in a level 3 and the medium joint. So we got keys. This prison's a different prison than I ever been to. They're dry cells, so we don't have toilets or sinks in our cell. It's almost like a dormitory, but we have cells that lock and everything. But the showers and the toilets are in a different area, and sinks are out there. But so yeah, in my cell in Arizona, we had a key to open the door and lock it and stuff with a window in the front.
Okay. So like if you need to use the toilet or a sink, you have to let yourself out, right?
I had to what?
You have to let yourself out if you need to use the toilet or sink?
Oh, where I'm at right now, yes. So yeah,
Okay.
so where I'm at right now, I have to come out the cell on my own to use the toilet or the sink or to take a shower.
Got it. Okay.
We can use the bathroom. We can use the bathroom all day long. We can only take showers during the time that it's our pod times. But if it's during lockdown time, we can only use the bathrooms. That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's interesting. So going back to that first prison that you were at, how long did you stay there?
I stood there. Actually, I stood there like 48 hours because that's not the prison I was going to stay at. So
Oh.
I stood there. I stood there 48 hours. Only stood there a couple days, and then I went down the street to another joint, to a level 4, to a close custody called Cimarron. Now that one was totally different from this one. That's where it was happening at.
It was on and cracking there?
Yeah, so this one, so where I was at, it was because it was part of it was medium. You know what I mean? I don't even know why. What part of it was level 4? It was basically medium in the way it operated and everything, but they said it was half and half. So I don't know what half was half, but it was all the same to me. But when I went to the other joint down the way, now that was different. There was no keys for the cells or nothing like that. Everything was done by from the control booth. They popped the doors open and stuff like that, and yeah, that one was totally. Now that one felt like prison.
Yeah, it sounds like a different monster once you were there, huh?
Yeah, this one was, it was big. It was bigger. It was built different. It had pods. So it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So on each side of the yard there was 8 different pods, but like 2 different cell houses. So you had cell house 1, cell house 2, cell house 3, cell house 4, and in each one you had A, B, C, D, and they had I'm trying to remember how many cells were at that joint, but they had a tier. They had 2 different tiers. So you had a bottom tier, and you had a top tier on each pod. So, and they were all it was all double cell. And it's big. So when you walk in, I'll try to give you a visual. When you walk into the building, you're coming through a door, and on your your right hand side, there's like a room with all these windows. So it's like, we consider that the laundry room. So we're doing laundry, big laundry. They use that little area. They got some tables in there, but it's mostly for when they're doing big laundry, passing stuff out. That's usually what it's used for. But it's a day room, basically. But you're walking, and then to your left, there's a door that's the porter closet, and it's like a not a triangle. Triangle shape. Got a mop sink, got areas for where the mops and cleaning supplies and stuff are. But it's so you're basically like on a platform, because then you come up to what's the bubble. So it's the control booth, and the control booth separates the 2 pods. So it might be, if I'm in A pod, then on the opposite side of the control booth, you can see through their windows is the other pod, and it's got 2 tiers over there as well. So then you go up. There's some stairs that lead upstairs, and then there's stairs that go downstairs, and then there's a bottom part of the tier. And you got all the cells that go around in a square. And in the corners, you had an area where they had like ping pong ball area, where they had like a little room that had ping pong. Then they had a room in the corner where they had washers and dryers at, and then there were tables in the a couple tables near where the control booth was, and then there were phones against the walls. And then in between, you see downstairs, it goes boom, boom, boom. So it goes. There were like 4 showers, single man showers, that had to be popped open by the control booth. They pop the cell door open, and you walk in. It's a small shower, and then you close the door. But there's like a little button you could press, and it'll pop the door open. Where we could stick like a comb or the back of a legal pad into the door, so we don't have to press the button. So we can just pop the door open and come out at will on our own. We used to be able to do that in the cell as well, when the way they pop the doors open. So like if I wanted to come out the cell and sharpen my pencils or use the phone or whatever I needed to come out of the cell for, I would press that button and it would pop my door. But if I rigged it and put something in the door, I could pop my door open on my own. But that's how the visual of the pod looked. It looked like that. And the cells were big. They had a window. They had a long window in the back that came down. The bunks went sideways. There were metal shelves on your bunks for your TVs. But then there were 2 tables on each side with 2 shelves on top, and then like a bulletin board area for your pictures and stuff, and then shelves on the sides like cubby holes and areas to hang your clothes and put your boots and everything. They had a hygiene shelf. Toilet's always in the front, with the door in the front.
Yeah.
No private.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Now you mentioned there was washer and dryers. Now, are you talking about, is there people assigned to do the laundry, or were they just there for everyone to do their own laundry?
Yeah. So back when I first came down, we had the laundry room that we could use at will, right? But then they made it to where like the pod porter could use them washers and dryers, and we would use those stuff. But then they had the main laundry to the big laundry where we sent laundry bags and we would send our clothes to the other stuff because they had a main laundry service we sent to, like our sheets. We'll send our sheets and blankets too. But if you wanted a premium wash, then you send your stuff right here. You know what I mean? You bought your own laundry detergent and stuff like that from commissary, and then you pay the porter or somebody to do your stuff, and they'll fold it and do all that kind of stuff for you too.
All right. That's interesting to hear too. Now, how long would you say you were at this prison before you moved, maybe to another prison?
I stood there till I had got out.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. So this was your first term, yeah.
Right there, and I got out.
Okay.
I was short timing on my first bid. I was short timing, so I was just doing a year at that time, and then got out and came back immediately.
Yeah. So what? Just curious. When you were there for your first term, what kind of food were you getting served? Like, what was it like? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner in that particular prison.
Back then, prison food was good. You know what I mean? In Arizona, it was good. We had real beef. We had pork. We used to get bacon and sausages for breakfast and stuff like that. We even had pork chops. That was back then. Over the years, things have changed of how they serve us. Everything's turkey and soy byproducts. But back then, you get a lot of beef and pork and stuff like that.
Yeah, what a trip. I've heard the same kind of stories here too. A lot of ladies would tell me back in the day when they would go visit their old man at like Old Folsom or something, they would take in steaks and stuff to barbecue. And, this is back in the day. And I would be like, damn, that sounds like a completely different life, and how things are now. That's interesting to hear that. So you mentioned that you got out and immediately went back in. What happened?
Well, so during the time that I was in the county jail as a juvenile, I had picked up a charge for prison contraband for a weapon. There were several of us that got charged with that, and I thought they dropped it or whatever because we didn't even know what was going on at that time. So they found something in the pod, and then they searched our cells, and they claimed to have found something, but I didn't pay no mind to it. And so I guess before I got out of prison, I wasn't supposed to get out of prison. I was supposed to go to the county jail and be charged with a new charge, but they didn't do that. They released me. So when I got out and I was on parole, it turned out me and my mom at the time had the same parole officer, and they wanted me to turn myself in to go back to jail for that charge or something. So I immediately went on the run, and I wasn't gonna turn myself in. You know what I mean? Like, I did my time. You let me out. Everything's cool, and now you're telling me I gotta turn myself in for some charge or something that happened in jail or something. So I went on the run, and I came back for armed robbery and car theft again.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, that sounds like a cruel joke almost, you know? You know you're getting out and then it's like, hey, come back. I can see where you wouldn't want to turn yourself in.
So, I went on the run, you know what I mean? It's wasn't gonna just turn myself in, you know what I mean? I just got out of being in prison, and now you just want me to turn myself in, and so I was a dumb kid, and
You have 30 seconds remaining.
I wasn't gonna do that.
Understandable. All right. So we left off with you didn't want to turn yourself back in. You were a youngster. That's understandable. So how did you end up, getting that? What was it? An armed robbery charge, or what did you say the charge was when you got picked up?
Oh yeah, I ended up catching armed robbery and a grab that bottle again.
Oh, okay. And how old were you then?
How old was I? 18.
18. So you're still very young. Yeah. All right. So what ended up happening? Did you go through the whole, court system all over again and catch a sentence then?
So I had that. Plus, I still had the other charge, the possession of prison contraband for the weapon charge that we had before. So so I had to go to the county jail and stuff. But I went back to prison since I was on parole at the time. I went back to prison, and I was going back and forth from prison to the county jail.
Okay. The term you're in now, how many different prisons have you been?
On this prison sentence right here?
Yeah.
1, 2. 12.
Oh, wow. Okay.
About 12. Yeah, about 12. The majority of the time, I was for 18 years. I was slammed down in solitary confinement in the Supermax. So
that has kind of what I wanted to Supermax, and I wanted to get an idea from you a little bit about what you can share, what that was like, that experience.
Yeah, so I did it. I went from Arizona Supermax, SMU2. When they flew me out of state, I went to New Mexico to their Supermax in North Unit. And then when they sent me out of state from there, they sent me to Illinois. And I was in their Supermax, Cam's Supermax, and Pontiac Supermax. Each I went from one to the other to be housed in the other, but I never stopped being in there. I was just housed from one spot to the other. So each had its each was different, but the setup. So SMU 2 is set up like the way Pelican Bay is. So people don't know. A lot of people don't know that our first Supermax in Arizona, SMU 1, or also known as CB8. It's a Special Management Unit 1. That was opened in 1987, and they modeled Pelican Bay after that and opened up Pelican Bay in 1989. So it's the same setup with the perforated steel doors, the 8-man cell, the solitary handball court in the corner in the end. Our second Supermax opened up in 1996. And it's the same setup, except it's more high tech. Instead of 8 cells, it's got 10 cells. So it was that same type of design. You know what I mean? Look, I'm gonna have to table this for about 30 minutes. I gotta lock down for count, and I'll be back out around 9:30, 9:45. So hold that question.
Okay. I think there she is. Okay.
I love love you, babe.
Okay.
All right.
So going into Supermax, you went from one state to another state. What can you share with us that would really give a glimpse into what that was like? How does Supermax differ from, like a regular prison, let's say?
Um, so uh, the Supermax is solitary confinement. It's the highest restricted custody level in all prison systems, other than like death row. It's solitary confinement. In most states, it's 23-1. It's 23 hours locked down and 1 hour out. But when I say 23-1, people think it's 23-1 every day. That's not necessarily true. We could be, I could come out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday 23-1 and be locked down 24 hours a day for the rest of the week. You know what I mean? So we live in a cell by ourselves. We go to rec. In most places, you go to rec by yourself. Of course, shower by yourself. You live by yourself. You don't see nobody other than the COs, medical staff. If I'm passing by a cell and I get a glimpse of somebody in my peripheral vision, I can see somebody, but you don't look into somebody's cell. That's not proper prison etiquette. You don't just look into somebody's cell.
Right.
But yeah, you don't have contact with anybody. You're shackled up everywhere you go. Depending what Supermax you're at, you could be fully shackled for rec and fully shackled to take a shower. So it just depends where it's at. Some places the shower comes to you. Some places you walk to the shower where it's maybe 10, 15 feet away from your cell. Not that you walk by yourself. You're escorted in shackles. It all depends, but the same setup is pretty much the same, just the way it looks. You know what I mean? In the solitary cell, locked down. The majority of the time, those of us that are in a Supermax is for gang validation, as opposed to actual acts of violence. I'm not saying that people aren't there for violence or they did something wrong, but a lot of times those of us that are locked down is just we're identified as such and such, and we're locked down forever. So,
Yeah, that's well, first of all, before I ask this next question, when you say the shower came to you, do you mean that there's like a little mobile shower they would bring around?
Yeah. So they got this. So it's like on a track. You know what I mean? So like in front of each cell, there might be a train, and then so like this other a little box comes with a shower, and it'll come in front of your door. Your door will open, and it'll be in front of your cell, and you can enter it. And the way it's hooked up is you can turn the water on, and or it's already running, just depending on how the system is hooked up, and you take your shower right there. I don't know what it is about 8 minutes, but in the last few states in the Supermaxes, the showers ran for exactly 8 minutes, and then they would turn off automatically. So you got to get it all in 8 minutes. You shave your head, shave your face, or whatever. You had to get it all in 8 minutes, knock it all out. But yeah, shower went right there, and the water went straight into the drain, and then intercom, step back, and get back into your cell. That's just depending on which one you went to. You know what I mean? So not all of them have them like that, but some are more restrictive as how much time they actually pull you out the cell. So it just depends.
Wow, that's interesting to hear. You mentioned in Supermax, it's some gang affiliation, some violent. Without obviously, I would never ask to say names or anything. But did you ever see familiar faces that you had heard about, or any big names that maybe people talk about on the streets?
What do you mean, like celebrities wise?
Yeah, like you know how sometimes I mean I guess they'd be considered celebrities, like maybe
Like
that has a
Elsa.
story. Yeah, that would be a great find.
I was in the county jail with I was in the county jail when Sandy McDebull was there, but you know,
That's right.
I mean,
He got
stuff like that where they had movies about somebody, but you know, and
okay.
you know, they weren't really somebody like really on our radars like that. But I guess for something like that, because it was a big thing in Arizona at that time when he got caught up when he was on witness protection or something. So yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I remember hearing about that now after the fact. I had watched I think what was it, Mob Wives? His daughter was in that. Yeah, remember that show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What a trip. Okay. What was the food like in Supermax?
Pardon me?
What was the food like in Supermax?
Um, it depends where I was at. In Arizona, still in that time, the food was decent, but the portions were a little bit smaller. And then again, how you eat, you got to eat quicker because they come back. They come back for our food immediately, so you gotta hurry up and eat your food. But when you say how the food was, sometimes it's hard to say because we ate it so quick, we didn't get a chance to taste it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I bet.
He does that at visit. I'll get him something to eat, and I'll look the other way and look back, and I'm like, where the hell did that big ass hamburger go? He's like, I ate it. I'm all okay.
Yeah, you got to get it in. What is
right? Yeah, you only got so much time to get in before you come back, and you got to give your tray up, so you don't get to enjoy it.
Yeah. What is or how long was it that you were in Supermax? 18 years?
18 years, yeah. Not back and forth from 1999 to 2017.
So that recent. Wow. Okay. Now being transferred, after the fact to where you are now, I mean, obviously some of the benefits are you're closer to family, right? And then how is the facility or the prison you're at now? I mean, compared to others, I realize it's still proven, but
it's a medium security. It's like a controlled movement. I don't really want to say it's an open movement. Yeah. I mean, it is to some degree, but not. It's all right. I mean, I'm out. I get to be out more. I don't have to be in my cell locked down. I have a cellie. I can work. I can take classes. I get contact visits. I get to go to an outside yard, with other guys. I get to go to the gym. I get to do things that we didn't have in the Supermax. So I get to do things that I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do again. I had prepared myself for that to be buried. So I get to do like all these stuff. So what we call it, I get to, how we say in here, I get to stretch my legs out. You know what I mean? So it's a place where I literally get to stretch my legs out.
That's good. Yeah.
More trust, more movement.
Mm-hmm. That's good to hear. Yeah. Have a job, something to go and do. That's good. And those contact visits, I'm sure that means a lot.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
After being behind the glass all them years, it's very refreshing. It feels really good.
Yeah. Would you say that had a very positive effect on your mental health once you were able to get those contact visits?
Yeah. It feels really good. So don't get me wrong, a visit in itself feels great. That somebody took the time to come and see you. You know what I mean? But a contact visit, you get to touch, and humans we're we're social creatures where we're touchy feely. You know what I mean? And to be able to touch somebody, to hug, to kiss. You know what I mean? I get to smile at everybody. You know what I mean? Like it sounds odd to say it, but but being away from that, like you don't know how much you miss that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like to be able to do that. Like here in this prison, we have grass. So in the morning when we're going to breakfast, I can smell the way the grass, the wet grass from the dew in the morning smells like. You know what I mean? And you miss that. And where the prison's at, it sucks because there's like. Some mornings smell like manure, but I can just smell that. You know what I mean? Other than like, I felt like in the Supermax, it was like a robotic sense. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a smell, there wasn't a taste. It was just everything was just the same. You know what I mean? It did heighten senses. We knew when they were serving a meal because you could smell it through the other pods or coming down the hallways or something. Because it's something foreign to what we're used to every day. So now, like a contact visit allows me to get that. You know what I mean? I can smell my wife's hair, and you know what I mean. Take that in. Their perfume, just to say, like I can feel the softness of her skin. It just, you know what I mean? Like when I touch my daughter's hand, I get to feel the things that I guess we could say we take for granted. You know what I mean? Like pay attention to these little things, you know what I mean? But man, feeling that, seeing that, smelling that is like, man, it's like a emotional and senses override.
Yeah, I would imagine it is. Something that comes to mind is a job that I had before when I was younger, and part of that was selling fragrances. And I remember this class that I had to go through, like a training course. And really, they drove into us. Part of dealing with fragrances and selling the fragrance is to sell people on that scent, because every scent brings you back to a memory, an emotion. We are like being able to smell and have a scent of something is part of our human makeup, what makes us people.
Yeah, because we can smell something and it'll remind us of something from way back when or something, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's just how it is. It's like, man, I miss that. I miss the sense of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it makes sense. Makes sense to me. Is there hopes in you being able to get any action to maybe be resentenced, or can you tell me what you're looking at right now?
I'm serving natural life with a consecutive double 15 on top. This is my 24th year right now. All my appeals are shot, but I kind of did that to myself when I first, came down. I shot myself in the foot when it came to that. So all I got is if the laws change or something. I've been seeing lately in these other states where they're coming up with these new laws to resentence guys that who were between the ages of 18 and 25 because their brains weren't fully developed when they got their time and stuff. So if they got life without parole or some kind of sentence like that, they're getting resentenced. And Arizona has always been a strict place where they've laid us down. So I was hoping that Arizona would get on board with something like that, or maybe that there's some new law or something that comes up. Otherwise, I'm banking on clemency. So I got clemency that comes up next year, because in Arizona, if you have natural life or life without parole, you can file for clemency after 25 years. So next year I'll be eligible for that. So I think being in this other state allows me to take some classes, get some jobs, do something positive, productive with my time, so that if and when I do file for clemency, I can show them that, hey, there's been other things that I've been doing with my time, ever since I've been released out of the Supermax and what my life's evolved into now and has progressed now other than what it was and used to be. I don't ever deny anything that I am, was, did, anything like that. I take full responsibility for it all. You know what I mean? But I've come a long way, and I'm still working on myself. I'm still progressing. I'm still changing. It's not easy. It's it's kind of scary if I admit it. You know what I mean? But I kind of like the grass that's greener on the other side. So, and I like that my priorities have changed to where I want to do better for myself. So that's what I'm working on. So either way, whether it happens or it doesn't, I still just want to make things better for myself and my family, and tighten up on that aspect where I failed at before.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, what you said right there speaks volumes. If anyone were to be listening that would hear that, you admitted to, like you said, I kind of shot myself in the foot over that, but here's what I'm doing moving forward. So that is something that I really respect, to hear you have ownership over something, that you may have done, or your situation, but the fact that you're making positive moves going forward, and that you appreciate those positive things and what it's doing for you. I think people should take notice of that. And hopefully, like you said, Arizona will make some changes. I'm not saying California is the greatest example in all aspects of states, but there are some laws that have happened here that I think would be great if they were, taken up in other states as far as resentencing. In particular, that law that you mentioned, about lifers getting between the age of 18 and 24, 25 being resentenced.
Yeah. So everything changes every day with the law. So hopefully, something happens. You know what I mean? Where there's a will, there's
You have 60 seconds remaining.
It may not happen today, and maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the day after. You never know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll be praying for that to happen with you and your clemency, whatever comes first. You know what I mean? And moving forward, we're gonna, love to stay in touch with you and your wife, Naomi, and keep up with what's going on with you, and appreciate you so much for sharing part of your life and what you're going through and the positive changes you're doing. Is there anything you'd like to say before it cuts us out? Any shout outs?
I just want to say thank you, and let me tell about myself, and real conversation to real people who really want to hear about it.
Absolutely. We appreciate you. We appreciate much love and respect to you. Stay encouraged, and we will hear from you soon, we hope.
It's a hard thing to listen to. Like, sometimes it's hard to listen to the stuff that he's been through, especially in Illinois with the things, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to listen sometimes. He wrote a poem or thing. I'll ask him if it's okay if I share it with you. It's called Phantom Souls. And he talks about being locked up and being in solitary. It's sad. And he gets mad at me because he's like, can you finish it? And I'm like, I get halfway through and I'm bawling because these are the things that he went through. You know what I mean? So it's hard.
And I can only imagine. And it's someone that you obviously love dearly, and you fight for that every day. So it hits you in a whole different spot of your heart. I was just watching your face as he was talking, and I could, see the emotion in your face, and hearing him speak about that. I can imagine it's an emotional roller coaster.
It is. And you don't, like, he went from seeing his daughter as a baby behind glass, you know what I mean, to being able to hold her for the first time in his arms when she was 15, 16, 15, something like that. And it's like, I still remember the day. He still talks about it. You know what I mean? Like to be able to grab her because he yearned for that all those years, and then he finally got it. So it's just, it's gut wrenching to listen to. That's what I was saying. Like there should be a cap on the solitary confinement or the, being in supermax like that. Like it shouldn't be an ongoing thing for years and years and years, especially for the guys that are just tagged as a gang member. Like, okay, well, thank you so much for listening and giving up time to talk.
Yeah, guys, have a good night. I just want to tell everybody out there, thank you for watching. Remember to always keep your hearts convicted, and thank you for watching.